Hi everybody, Rob Keys here with another edition in my What's in the Box series. For this edition, it's video game focused again, but it's also focused on books. I don't actually have the box for this one, but I got what came inside of it. This is the official Art of Titanfall book. Titanfall, of course, is the very first game from Respawn Entertainment, which spawned out of Infinity Ward, actually, back in the day. So, of course, they are responsible, a lot of the devs, for the first Call of Duty games, Modern Warfare 1 and 2. Now, this is the very first project by them as a new studio under the direction of Vince Zampella, I think that's his name. And this particular book is authored by Andy McVitie, and he's the same dude who put together the art book for Assassin's Creed 3. And I think he's also working on the Watch Dogs book. I don't think that's out yet, but I imagine it's coming out around the time of the game release. This book just came available this week, and I'm very anxious to get my hands on it because I'm a big fan of conceptual art. If you ever check out GameRant.com or ScreenRant.com, a lot of what we do when it comes to the big AAA games and films, like especially comic book movies or like any video game, whether it's like Resident Evil, anything from Ubisoft, really, they're like the kings of concept art. But the books guide the direction of the games so much, not just in detailing what the aesthetics and environments will look like, but everything from how the characters can emote to the machines and vehicles and weapons you see in them. So this one's actually very special because Titanfall is a very interesting and unique first-person shooter that blends not only like your typical infantry first-person shooter, and you can see a lot of that. I actually have 9 or 10 gameplay videos of the Titanfall beta up on my channel. I'll put a link down for that below. But also, of course, you get to ride Titans, these big-ass mechs who are very, well, I don't say who, but these things are very, very fast. This is not your mech warrior mechs. These things move just like you're a soldier with a gun. So I wanted to open it up because there's something in this book which is very, very interesting that hasn't been in any of the official marketing for the game. And I think when people see it, it's going to be very, very exciting because Titanfall's more than just man versus machine. That's all I'll tell you for now. But I'll open this up, and of course, there is a, Andy McVitie, the guy put it together. There's a foreword by Joel Emsley. He is the lead artist of the game, and he wrote this back in September 2013. But basically, he talks about how his father was a plumber. He didn't go into that direction. And he talks about how books haven't changed over the years, but the technology and stuff and how the concept art works and what it represents has changed. So I won't get into that. But if you once you get past that, well, first of all, I'm going to show you some cool art. You got some ships flying. Well, I almost said flying through space. They're actually underwater, these vehicles. You can see the people with scuba gear. Maybe they're pilots or AI infantry or something. Titanfall, by the way, if you don't know anything about it, it's like not just like your team deathmatch, team versus team. The game actually only supports up to 6 players versus 6 players, and the rest of the battlefield is filled out by AI-controlled infantry, like regular, easy-to-kill grunts. The players actually play pilots, and the pilots are special because they have special abilities. They can take more hits, they can deal out more damage, but they can also jump in between fighting on the ground and fighting inside of a mech, and they're equipped with jetpacks so they can run against walls and double jump and all that fun stuff. Again, check out the gameplay videos I put up. It's very fun. Now, there's an official introduction by Steve Fukuda, who's the game director. He also wrote this in September 2013. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but the last 2 paragraphs are kind of interesting. So he talks about what concept art means for game development, and he basically talks about the story of how when Respawn became their own studio and they spent time meeting, just being creative and generating ideas, and they didn't know what they were going to do. So Titanfall wasn't Titanfall as we know it today, back when they started. But I'll skip all of that. He says, creating something from scratch is never easy. Without some established context and norms, it's difficult to say this belongs but that doesn't. Concept art plays an essential role in creating context, enabling our team to discuss context in consistent terms and move forward. Each piece of art you'll see in this book gives you a glimpse into that process, the distillation of chaos into something new, fun, and relatable. And then he's got this bonus sentence. He says, wall-running ninjas, check. Giant robots, check. Warping spaceships, check. Dinosaurs, of course. Prepare for Titanfall. What? Dinosaurs? This game is published by Electronic Arts. So is the Battlefield series by developer DICE. And for years, well, not that long, but since like 2011 when they started marketing Battlefield 3, everyone who's a fan of that franchise has been saying, you gotta bring in dinosaurs. Create a dinosaur mode. Just like Call of Duty has zombies and now aliens with the last game. You gotta have dinosaurs. This game might have dinosaurs, and we haven't seen any of that. That was not in the beta, and again, there's been no trailers for that. And believe it or not, I'm recording this in the last day of February 2014, which means the game releases on PC and Xbox One on March 11th. That's less than 2 weeks from now, and we still haven't seen in the trailers most of what this game offers. And I'll put a link in the description, actually, to an article I put up on GameRant.com, which had a bunch of leaked information detailing what the 15 maps are, all the games, all the perks and abilities and stuff like that. But it didn't include something you'll see in here. So that's by the game's lead director there. There's different sections, of course. You got the Titans and pilots. I won't go into the characters because Titanfall is a multiplayer-only game, but there's a multiplayer campaign which you can play from the two sides. There's two factions. And there are, of course, the 3 Titans we've seen. One Titan was revealed when they first unveiled the game last year at E3, and I think at the Spike Video Game Awards, or VGX they call it now, Video Game Experience, in December, they unveiled the other 2 mechs. So there's the Atlas. Well, this is the Ogre, actually. This is the big, heavy-duty tank one, which was unveiled at Spike VGX, along with the super fast-moving one called the Strider, and I'll show you art of that afterwards. But the main one is the Atlas, and that's the one you could see and use in the beta. Here's another view of this thing. It's got a big beastie head. So the Ogre is probably like a slow-moving, take the most damage. And it's a cool first-person art from being inside of one of the Titans. That's the big machine gun, which is one of my favorite Titan weapons. I'm not going to go through all of these, of course. I wanted to show you. This is the Atlas. And this is visually distinguished. I'll bring it closer by, look at the head here. And they talk about how the different iterations of this thing, how it came to be. But if you take a look at the head, one of the design choices that carried through from the beginning is, see, it's kind of like a spherical head with an eye. That is what they use to kind of, that's like the most visually distinguishable trait of the Atlas Ogre. Atlas Titan. You got new versions of it. There's different color schemes for like each faction. And here's the Strider, which is very skinny looking. They kind of built it like a scarecrow. They talk about all the design decisions that went into this thing. But see how skinny its legs are? This thing's the fastest moving unit, but obviously it can't dish out or take that much damage. But I'm a fan of speed over strength any day. And then there's a bunch of characters. We're not going to get into this because this is part of the story. And if you want that, you can pick up the game in March when it releases. There's characters on both sides, blah, blah, blah. There's the... Okay, I'm not going to go through that. You got a bunch of different designs of the soldiers, the AI units, and stuff like that. Very practical designs based on real military designs with upgraded technology, of course. All right. Got the rebels, the militia peoples, and then they got the, whatever to call them, the IMC. All right, okay. So after they show the Titans, and after they show some of the characters, there's this, creatures. This has not been shown in anything in the marketing so far, but there's some giant bee wasp monster thingy with a stinger, and then you got this crazy 4-winged dragon thing. Looks like it's from Pandora from the Avatar film. It's got hooks coming out of its face. Look at that. And of course you got this weird hyena dog looking thing, which looks like, have you ever seen the movie Riddick with Vin Diesel? Like the newest one that came out last year? That looks like his pet dog he meets in that weird barren planet he's stuck on. And then it goes into vehicles, weapons, and tech. So bunch of spaceships. These look very Babylon 5-esque, like the human vehicles from that. But yeah, so we can go through this all day. There's tons and tons of concept art. There's some very cool smaller vehicles like fighters and speeders, which I'm not going to show you because you should definitely pick up this book. It's only actually $35 for the book I have here. There's like a limited edition. If you're like hardcore and you're into like collecting like limited edition prints, I think they had 500 copies of the limited edition of this game. I don't know what it is in US dollars, but I know it's like 50 pounds. So what is that? It's probably going to be like 80 bucks American or something. It comes with like a special print that's signed by 17 of the designers and employees or developers at Respawn. So it's kind of a cool collector's edition. This is only $35, so it's super affordable. I like having like very beautiful but geeky friendly coffee books in my living room. So this is why I picked this one up. Very cool. Just quickly flip through some of these pages. Here's a fighter. This thing looks like it's from Star Citizen, that game in development, which is one of our most anticipated games of like all time. It's the biggest budget space sim ever. It's funded purely through crowdfunding and fans. I think they just raised last week, if you've been following it, they raised over $39 million. And the budget of the game was only $20 million. And they got $39 million already. And the game is like, won't even be out for another year. Like, in terms of like a public beta or full release. So awesome. So lots and lots of aerial vehicles. I don't know how much it's going to factor into gameplay, but it's more like background, just tanks. I'll show you this bad boy too. This was actually, you do see a tank, I think, when you're doing the tutorial. When even in the Titanfall beta, they had like a brief tutorial to get used to the controls, because it's very I don't want to say super fast pace, because it's like the same pace as Call of Duty, but there's a lot of verticality to it, so you do have to learn to master the controls when it comes to jumping up levels, doing wall running, and there's an area where you go through this room and there's a big like tank with 2 cannons on it. Looks like this thing right here, or like the tanks from the Mammoth tanks from the Command & Conquer series, which EA also owns but shut down. It's not just weaponized mechs though, you got industrial titans, so this may factor into some of the maps as well. Maybe they can do something cool. I'd love to see a Titanfall game where all the environments are destructible and you can use like an industrial mech to rip down walls or solder things together. Look at this thing. Some walkers and drones. So lots of stuff we haven't seen yet. So I don't know how much of this made it into the final game. A lot of it shows different variations. And this section is all about guns and warheads and missiles, both for the infantry and the Titans. But we're not going to go into that because I don't want to spoil all the cool weapons. You can see a more detailed list on GameRant.com, but I just kind of want to show you this badass art book. And then we got locations, which I'm not going to show you, but I can say that it sounds like there are... Does this go through all the different maps? Angel City. Angel City is the urban environment from the beta. And there's a lot of pages on it, so I don't think they go through. Still going through it. It's probably a big part. It has a big part to play in the multiplayer campaign in terms of story. And here, see, check out this space kind of mountainy background. See, there's like a space station. I don't know if you can see it. I'll kind of point it out there. But see where this finger is? I'll bring it in a little closer. But there's like a spaceship station there. That there's definitely a map on that station or around it, and that was one of the highlighted images that came with that leaked list of maps from the game. That's probably what it is, actually. Outpost 207. And does this go through the mall? It goes through Fracture. Fracture is, of course, the other map from the beta. That's the outdoor one. That's the one I like more. I like that more in Angel City. I kind of like the more post-apocalyptic open environment with the nice lush green. And, yeah, that doesn't really... Oh, this is a cool one. Look at the sun, or the busted up star in the background. What's this one called? Demeter? Something like that. Anyways, I'll stop it there so you don't have to go through this whole thing. I don't want to waste your time, but this is the official Art of Titanfall book by Titan Books. I don't have many books like this, but I have seen a lot that they've done. I think they had an Assassin's Creed. Oh, no. The coolest one I have seen is back when, I think it was when Halo Anniversary was coming out, the same year as Halo 4, and they had like an anniversary art book, or like Art of Halo 4, and it was like amazing because like those sci-fi games, or the games like this, those like very kind of interesting takes on period pieces like the Assassin's Creed franchise have such awesome art. And 343 Industries and Bungie before them obviously have incredible concept art. You can just Google Master Chief and see all the different iterations of him and the beautiful art they do. Like I said before, Ubisoft's a king at that. All of their games, Watch Dogs, every AC title, Prince of Persia, even like friggin' Splinter Cell Blacklist, tons of wicked high-res concept art of Sam Fisher and all the characters doing cool stuff. So I'm a big fan of that stuff, and we get a lot of actually content from concept art, even sometimes more so than getting like in-game screenshots. We get some really cool, beautiful art. And just recently, we've been putting up a lot of art from games like The Elder Scrolls Online, which comes out in April, Dragon Age Inquisition, which comes out later this year. So concept art is has a huge role to play in games and films, of course, as well, because we have a lot of comic book movie concept art up on Screen Rant as well. So that is that. I know Titan Books they just released, with this, they also have books for the Thief game by Eidos Montreal, and of course I'll put a link below to my Thief playthrough. I've already put up 4 episodes, and I hope to record a few more this weekend to have more episodes of that. They also have a book for Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, which we have someone, Anthony Termina on Game Rant, put up a kind of a first impressions gameplay video of that, and he's reviewing it for the site as well. So lots of stuff happening in all these games, of course, lots of cool concept art to go with it. So thank you for watching. If you'd like me to do more books like this, like not just like a pure video game or geeky movie or TV thing, like I do love this kind of stuff, and I have like lots of comics, even old comics and like old figures that relate to this stuff that I could bring up and just kind of talk about. It doesn't have to be something new or just coming out, but anyways, again, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more, and leave a comment on what you'd like to see in my next What's in the Box video. Again, cheers.